Hello everybody, my name is Kevin Long. I am the marketing director at Crowd Compass. Thank you all for coming to another exciting Innovation in Motion panel. The topic this month is, hey, what's the big data? We've heard a lot about big data. There's a lot of buzz around it. Some companies are really leveraging it, and some companies would love to figure out what the heck it means. So tonight we have some real pros here, and we're excited to dive in on that. Before we start out, though, I just want to thank a few awesome sponsors that make this happen. So I'd like to have Andrew from CorSource stand up and say a few words. Andrew, are you out here? Andrew?
Hi, I'm Andrew Herman with CorSource. We are a local company in downtown Portland, where our business is basically three-pronged. We do high-level technology consulting. We also do software development services as well as staffing. So if anyone is looking to make a change, we're more than willing to try to help you find the company. But basically our big growth engine last year and this year has been around BI, helping software companies figure out how to attack the needs that their customers are having, wanting more reports and more analytics. So we help software companies find their kind of roadmap to business intelligence and then help them execute on that. But it's our pleasure to be here with our friends at Crowd Compass, some of our partners at Information Builders and GoodData, and we're looking forward to this event tonight. So thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. And Technology Association of Oregon, everybody here knows, runs great events, supports the community a lot, and they've been a great supporter for us to get out in front of everyone. Okay, so just jumping right in, just a couple quick announcements, then I'm going to say hello to the panelists here and introduce them. First thing is, if you want to Twitter out, it's in PDX. If you ever want to catch Innovation in Motion from home, we live stream it. It's at livestream.com/innovationinmotion. And last announcement is the video. We have 3 videos playing. One is up here shooting in the crowd. The lights, the recording, everything is from Paul Collette. But if you ever need Paul to record anything, do videos, talk to me, talk to Paul. He's a great guy here. Okay, so jumping right in. Ken Levy. Ken? I'd like to just do a quick introduction, then we're going to do a quick icebreaker, and then we're going to go into the presentation. So Ken on the end. Ken, just raise your hand, make sure everyone knows who you are. So Ken is the CEO and founder of Foretel. Foretel is a retailer software that uses recommendations to convert browsers into buyers by driving personalized cross-selling and upselling. So essentially, you're buying stuff online. He is using big data, his software as a service, to help better recommendations, to help companies make more money off their products online. Mike Smitheman. Mike, why don't you go ahead and raise your hand? Mike is the VP of Marketing at GoodData. Mike's in from San Francisco here today, but he flew directly from London to San Francisco to get here. So we're really forming an international crowd. People are coming from all over the world for Innovation in Motion. We're excited about that. Big Data offers a range of business intelligence software and reporting tools to help companies monetize big data. We're going to be talking about some of their SaaS services tonight. And Bob Newell. Bob? Bob is here from Toronto, directly from Toronto. We cannot stop this international crowd from just flooding into Portland, Oregon, the hub of international happenings. Bob is the director of Business Alliance for Information Builders. Bob, I don't have a one sentence. What is the one sentence of Information Builders? What would you say?
Information Builders, we're one of the largest independent software companies in the world, and we're leaders in business intelligence software.
They started when I was born. That's how long they've been around. And I'm an old guy. Okay, quick icebreaker, and then we're going to get really serious here, people, talking about big data. So big data is springing up all over. There's all of these channels that are happening, looking at these diverse resources, everything from weather data going out to social media posts, which has exploded in the last few years, digital pictures, video, purchasing transaction records, GPS signals have now gotten huge, looking at all these sources. Now here's the question. According to IBM, who's never wrong, what percentage of data in the world was created in the last 2 years alone? So the question again, according to IBM, what percent of all the data in the world was created only in the last 2 years? You can yell out a percent. 10%. 80. 97. 63. $4.99. It's down from 99. 90. You know what you win? You win a big mug. Come on up and get your mug. I have to say, I got made fun of by the dude behind the counter when I bought that this morning. He was like, I've never seen someone actually buy one of these. But it costs $6 and you can have as much free soda as you want, you know. Okay. All right, we're getting really serious here, people. It's big data time. This is not a joking matter, and I'm going to turn this over to the professionals. So we're going to start out with Ken Levy from Fortel. And Ken, what I want you to do is walk through a few things of who you are, what does your company do, and I want everyone to understand exactly what is your product.
Sure, and my background, I kind of think the really coolest thing I did when I worked for Digimarc is I wrote the standard for their ID architecture, and it's the reason they check your driver's license with a black light when you're going through the airport. So when you're in a line, just say, I met that guy and I hate him. So this is my fourth startup, sold the first one at Digimarc, and we've raised seed funding and we're out for our Series A. Can you go forward 2 slides? So what do we do? Personalized recommendations. So when you're at a website that says people also bought, you might like, that service is being provided by us on the retailer's website. So in the moment you click on a product, before you see the page, they've called our service, we determine what you're likely to buy, and we allow the retailer to put it up on their website. What does it do? On average, the retailer's sales go up by 15%. Columbia Sportswear switched. Most companies are doing this manually. That means there's an employee in the back there, and every time you click on a page, they type it in now. An employee's back there, and they relate products in the catalog, and they try to do this, and it's the same for everybody, and it's a boring job when you have 1,000 or 30,000 products. It doesn't work well. Columbia Sportswear switched from us. When they added our system, their sales from recommendations went up 67%. Give you an idea of size, we have 150 customers. We're driving $200,000 of additional sales a day. We're serving 140 recommendations a second right now. When you look in our database, and right now all retailers are separate, but we have 700,000 products and 100 million behaviors. Those are purchases or views of products. If you take our growth for the next 2 years to be the same as for the last 2 years, what we did on very little funding, we'll have 3 million products and 3 billion behaviors in our database. So that's big data. If you want to go back one slide now, our vision, what we're rolling out is it's not just on the web. Currently it's in email. We get emails, thank you for your order. Here's some of our things you'd like to buy. Then we're going to m-commerce. Then in-store apps. We have customers using it. Their sales agents are using iPads in a wine store. Oh, you might like this wine. Call centers are using it. They order off the website, tell you, would you like fries with it? And digital displays. So the idea of our product is we don't care where data comes from, and we don't care where it goes. We can take data from any source in, and we can serve it to anywhere they want recommendations. So that's the quick view of who we are.
So I just want to make sure I understand this too. As a small business owner, I'm selling products on my website. I can pay for your service every month, plug it right in, and instead of me just having regular e-commerce, I can now have recommendations added to that.
Exactly, in less than an hour of your time.
Okay, now, that's a visual. Now, if we can get that easy of a visual with these next 2 panelists, we are superstars. Okay? So now, Mike, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about big data, who you are, what your company does, and we want to understand what is your product.
Sure. So, Mike Smitheman, Vice President of Marketing over at GoodData. I've spent my career in the business intelligence space with a number of companies doing everything from operations and sales to eventually product management and marketing. And if we go to the next slide, GoodData was founded back in 2007, so we're about 5 years old, 2 years in market in the US, about 230 employees today, about 8,000 customers using our platform. It's a cloud platform, as you'll see, loading data from about 20,000 different sources on a daily basis into that platform, so we're doing this at scale. And really our vision is about turning big data into good data. As a marketing person, it's kind of one of the best company names I've had to work with to date. It's great from a branding perspective. But what we essentially do, if you just bring up the bullet points, is we have a business intelligence platform that we host in the cloud. And so what is that? We do everything from connecting into all the data sources that a company might be interested in measuring, whether they're within their firewall, their ERP systems, their billing systems, whether it's systems out in the cloud, such as social data or Salesforce, whatever it might be. We pull that into our platform, we crunch that data, we provide meaningful metrics, reports, and dashboards back to business users. So typically our software is being bought to solve particular line of business problems, such as sales performance, such as marketing analytics, customer support, or help desk systems. It's a line of business users wanting to get visibility into their data and ask meaningful business questions out of it.
So I have a huge Salesforce.com database.
Yep.
Leads have been going through them, marketing leads, sales leads. I see my accounts, people have bought things. I come to you and I'm like, here, plug it into your platform, and I'm going to get meaningful data out there that's going to be useful to my team.
Exactly, and in a lot of cases it will be multiple sources of data, right? It's looking at your sales data related to your billing or service data related to customer satisfaction, bringing all these together, providing a single view onto that.
Right, so you're taking things like actions and actual purchases and you're relating them to billing, so there's multiple different layers on top of it.
Absolutely.
And you come back with specific recommendations, or are people seeing like a back-end panel with charts and numbers and they have to sort of figure it out?
Both. We do an element of sort of predictive type analysis as well as sort of historical and real-time reporting on that data.
Okay, and your stuff sits on top of marketing automation tools like Eloqua, Marketo?
Exactly.
Okay.
And we'll talk through some examples of that later.
Okay, we're going to talk about marketing automation today as well, just because it's an important part of the data play. Okay, so now Bob, information builders, and I really want to understand the difference between the information builders platform and the GoodData platform.
Okay. So information builders, as you mentioned, we've been around forever, founded in 1975. And what we've evolved over time is a comprehensive BI platform. So it's not something that you can just install and use. It's a platform that allows people to develop robust applications. One of our key differentiators between other companies is customer-facing applications, and applications that service literally thousands of users, so really big applications. We do sell to some smaller markets as well, but really we're all about big data management issues, and be it an ETL issue, be it a reporting issue, and when it comes to data management, through our partnerships, we partner with all the big data vendors as well. And part of what we do is access data. We've been around, as you mentioned, since 1975. We've developed access to a number of different data sources. I think we have over 300 different data sources that we can pull from. Things like from our legacy from vSAM files, for those of you out there who know what a vSAM file is. Things like IMS databases.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what that is?
What is it?
vSAM file is a file system that's indexed and came about by IBM when it was brought in mainly on the mainframe.
Okay.
It's a mainframe system.
Okay.
But that's basically what Information Builders is in our product line. It's a platform. It's not really a tool that you then install and start to use. It's a platform for developing robust applications.
And now up here, you have a slide. I think you have a slide of a few examples. We're going to talk about some examples in a little bit, but can you give some specifics on these partners and how they're working with it?
Certainly. So the big data vendors, so the database vendors, they all have a big data strategy. And one thing that's very common...
Go to the big data partnerships. Yeah.
One thing that's very common with their products is they're all MPP technologies. And what an MPP technology means is that they can take a given task and they can spread that task across multiple servers. And so if you need to grow either in terms of performance or in terms of size, you just keep adding more and more servers, and that's very common. We partner with all those companies, and we work very well with them, and a number of our customers use us to exploit the data in those databases. If you were to look on any of these large database sites and you were to look at what their big data strategy is, every single one of them includes Hadoop. And includes Hadoop as part of their strategy, not necessarily as a replacement for their database management system, but something that is complementary. What Hadoop is, it's a distributed file system. It's basically a file system that does a couple of things. One, it takes data and applies a map-reduce technique to it to reduce the footprint on disk. As well, it allows you to spread that data, again, across multiple servers, and it can scale up to petabytes of data. You can handle lots and lots of data there with Hadoop.
What's the smallest size company that Information Builders works with?
That's a good question. I think we probably work with about a $20 million, as small as a $20 million company.
Okay.
So we do have some smaller companies that we deal with.
Okay. And both of you two are coming in and analyzing the companies. They're not just jumping on your website, plugging their stuff in. It's a huge process. They're understanding this, what they need, what are the different areas you're going to tackle, what are the layers they're going to put on top of it, and they're going to go in that way.
Yeah, these data problems are not simple problems to solve, right? Getting access to the data is one thing. Working out what's meaningful and how you're going to use it is what really drives adoption within a business. So, yeah, these are, from our perspective, again, we're a complete platform in the cloud, and it's quicker to get up and running than the sort of legacy BI, which was always a value chain of multiple products and multiple technologies. But ultimately, yeah, it's a project, and you have to go through the requirements, and you have to go through the implementation of that.
Okay, so Bob, you guys have been around forever. You have 1 billion clients, so I'm going to say, are you a legacy? Do you have lots of different things you're trying to put together now over time that you've built up because you were such a forger in the early industry?
We do have a legacy, but we also try to stay ahead of the curve as well. So, for example, one of the applications I'm going to talk about tonight uses our Facebook adapter. And the Facebook adapter, what it allows you to do is hook into a company's Facebook page, pull out commentary on that Facebook page, do things like sentiment analysis, and then integrate that with your internal systems, be it your financial data or your sales data. So we're always staying ahead of the curve there. We also have a robust mobile application as well. Ford Motor Company demonstrated for us a mobile application that they built using our software. Fantastic application that they can build and that can run on any device, be it an Android device, be it an iPad or an iPhone, same application running on any device, any mobile device.
I like it.
So we do a lot of that as well.
Okay, great. Well, that was a great intro, helping everyone understand who is up on the panel today. Let's jump to the next slide. We actually have a nice little Valentine's Day slide. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and so I have a question here. How can big data be mined? So looking at this, regardless of company size, so stepping back from the actual products, right? And this is everything from big data to recommendations to analytics. We have people in the room that are running big companies, people in the room that are one-person shops. Regardless of company size, what are the questions that companies and entrepreneurs need to answer before they can look at leveraging big data, recommendations, analytics? And why don't we start with Ken, and we're just going to kind of work our way down and have a discussion about that. So you come into the company, do you have top 5 questions? Are there top 3 go-to things you have to know? Are there 100 things? How do you start to structure this?
So we're big data, and our customers have a 2-day sales cycle, and they're up the next day with live recommendations. The number one question is, what do you want to do? Do you want to grow your business? If they say yes, they do it. The answer to this question is you have to have a clear goal. Ours is simple. We're very focused. It's, you have a retail store and you want to increase sales. Okay, we can help. Most people have not said no to that question.
Right.
But
Wait, let's see. Is anybody here in the audience selling a set product online? Do we have that example? Okay, Craig, do you want to increase sales?
I think so.
Okay, you are right. You do.
So it's really clear. Then we work with them. There's cross-sell and their upsell. We do a site plan that takes about a half hour. Where do you want the recommendations on your product page, your checkout, your search, all that? Our engineers make it happen, and there are the recommendations. There's a lot of intelligence going on in the background. You got to imagine we're bringing in gigabytes and gigabytes of data every night, and it's not clean. We're cleaning it. Ever since we started, our goals are our system can't go down. We have a 99.999% uptime. You can throw anything at the system, we'll figure out where the good data is, and we'll use it. Sorry to copy your name.
Yeah.
But, for us, it's got to have a really clear goal, what you want to do with it.
Right. So I see, Ken, I see yours on this question. It's a little bit easier because it's like, hey, I'm selling stuff online. Do you want to sell more stuff online? Yes, I do. Plug it in, 48 hours, you're up and going. Mike, I'm wondering if you can talk about this from, you come into a company that has all these different layers, all these different, from billing to Salesforce to marketing automation. You can go in and you can make it so complicated. What is the basic structure that those companies can use, and what are the questions that also entrepreneurs could think about?
Sure. So I guess backing up one step, is big data a big company problem? I don't believe it is. It's something whenever I'm doing press interviews or analyst interviews, they always ask that question. And reality is, big data is a problem for everyone. And I think it's because of a number of trends that are taking place. The 90% of data created in the last 2 years, the migration of data from inside an organization. There was a time when we could just create a data warehouse and we would pull all the information we needed from that. Now there's social systems, there's systems out in the cloud, everything is migrating. And so even the startup type companies we work with, there's all this data out there about their organization, whether they like it or not. There's people talking about them in the social spheres, there's a sentiment about their business. So big data is real for everyone, and I don't think it's a choice whether you deal with it or not. It's out there, and you have to deal with it. And I think really it's the same as what Ken was saying. The way we approach it with our customers is it's not a big data problem, it's what business questions you're trying to answer, and whether that's a line of business, whether it's a departmental problem that we're trying to solve. And we try and back that up with big data. We try and pull all the relevant sources of data that can help us answer those business questions. And so it's a very top-down approach to it.
So their clients are absolutely, you're going in there and saying, what's the problem you want to solve? They're telling you everything. Like, you're not helping them really figure that out.
It's not that case. Typically, we're going in and people know that they need to be doing a better job of analyzing data and measuring data. In a lot of cases, they're looking to us to be thought leaders in particular use cases. At the end of the day, I mentioned we have over 8,000 customers running on the platform. The advantage of being a cloud vendor is we know exactly what they're all doing and we know exactly how they're measuring their business. That's knowledge we can take back out to the market, and we absolutely do that. We lead people through, if you have a marketing analytics problem, here's the sort of metrics you should be looking at, here's the sort of reports you should be analyzing, and that gets them off the ground, and they tend to evolve from there.
Bob, do you ever go into companies, I'm assuming you have the same kind of scenario, do you ever go into companies and they're like, hey, I want to solve this problem, and you're like, when you start looking at it, you're like, you really want to solve these 3 problems first?
Yeah, what we really try to do, and again, we've been around forever, and I actually have worked in the open source world as well, and open source is all about community and sharing ideas and thought leadership. We actually have a commercial community because we have so many customers and they share the story. So what will happen is we'll go in and we'll talk to customers and we'll share stories of how people are addressing big data issues or even big data management issues. It doesn't necessarily have to be big data, it could be some other issue that they're dealing with. And we share what people have done to address those issues, and we work together with the customer to figure out, are these opportunities for you? Are you for example, on a big data, you might be throwing away data that could be an opportunity for them to either increase sales or even reduce cost. There's other situations too. For example, giving an example of a big data management problem, U.S. Bank is one of our larger customers. They deploy reports to literally thousands of users, and how they can do that without deploying this huge database platform, they use a technique that we have. It's called active reports, and it's disconnected analytics. And what you do is you actually send the data and the report out to someone, and they can change that report, they can graph it, they can do drills disconnected from the database, and that's how they can do that with thousands of people. And we share those stories with people on how they can address their big data issues.
Okay. So let's look at some exact examples, okay? So let's dive in. Each of the panelists, I just asked them to throw up a case study of companies they've actually worked with and what the results have been. And let's see, we have information builders up here.
Okay, so this is an example. This is an application that was put together by one of our SEs in New York. And what he did is he actually went to Walmart's Facebook account, and he pulled out the commentary posted to Facebook. And he put up on the dashboard, he put up a couple of things. One, he put up a tag cloud that showed the frequency of words used in the commentary. The other thing he did, and our Facebook adapter also does a sentiment score, so it gives you whether that commentary is either a positive or a negative commentary. And he put that up there as well. So there's a couple of things that he noticed. One thing is that there's a word there in that tag cloud that you wouldn't normally associate with Walmart, and it was meat. So you don't really think of Walmart as having meat. He also noticed that there was a period where there was a great deal of negative sentiment And when he drilled into that, and he accessed more unstructured data, he actually went to the campaign and the flyer for Walmart, and there was a big promotion for meat at Walmart during the time of that negative sentiment. And then when he actually drilled on the meat commentary, he saw some other words, things like nasty and things like disgusting. And he saw that people just weren't liking the meat that they got from Walmart. The key thing with this application...
He needed this.
It's unbelievable. How much did he pay for that?
But then he completed the circle by adding in the internal sales data and saw that not only was meat addressing negative commentary on the Facebook page, but going back to the internal data, they saw a drop in dip in sales overall within Walmart. So it was actually affecting them on the bottom line.
What I think is interesting with this example is when I started thinking about big data topic, I wasn't thinking about like, this sounds like Radian 6 listening tools, right? And I think of big data as it's just crunching this internal stuff. It's not really about this like social media out listening side of things. How much of your business is going in that direction versus I have this billing and the Salesforce and this automation and you got to make sense of it for me?
Well, there's a couple of things, and many people will think of big data and they just think about it in terms of sheer volume of data. But big data is also things like unstructured data, and that's why I put in this example, because this is an example of consuming unstructured data, which is very hard. It's a hard thing to do. But here's an example of being able to consume and report on unstructured data and give you a real business result that you can then turn around and do something about it.
That's interesting. And I do think anyone of any size company can be using, that exact same tool.
Yeah, I think we get tight. I think there's two conversations going on around big data. There's a technology conversation, which is the Hadoops of this world, the Hawks. There's all these names for these bits of technology that have grown out of companies who needed to solve an internal use case that they have, and they've been open sourced, and they're very technical. They're very focused around a particular use case. There's then the conversation going on that we're having, I think, which is, what's the business value of data in general? I think that's what we're seeing in the market. That's where we're seeing the opportunity is people know there's a lot of data out there, whether it's unstructured, whether it's large volumes, and it's really how do I make sense of that?
Well, let's see. Mike, you have a couple examples here. Let's see how you guys at GoodData have made sense of it.
So I've been greedy and taken two examples. And
I almost cut one. I was like, Mike sent me two case studies.
But there is a reason. So the first one is exactly what we were just talking about. So it's Time Warner Cable, and really they're not trying to answer anything new within their business, right? The questions they're trying to answer are the same questions they were trying to answer 10 years ago or however long ago. And it's really the volume of data and the volume of information that they've got access to now that makes it difficult to get visibility into that. So their problem was they have a huge direct inside sales force that is selling within their business, and their challenge, I think they have 50,000 seats of Salesforce.com that they roll out, and their challenge is making sense of what's going on in the sales force. So who's performing, who isn't, what's working, what isn't, what activities are the sales guys doing to drive new business. And as an inside sales team, it's a pretty scientific process. There's calls coming in, they're converting deals, and so all they wanted to do was just get visibility into that. And that's a tough problem to solve. It's a lot of data, it's changing on an hourly basis, and what they did with our platform was really, again, just get visibility into that sales operation, be able to push it out to the field to thousands of users, roll it up through the sales organization, and get better visibility into what was working and what wasn't.
So rolling it out actually to their inside sales reps to be able to see information and make it, humanize it.
How am I performing against peers, and then rolled up to an exec level, what's the profile of the business and what's working, what isn't.
Okay, I like that example.
The second example, I should probably just preface this. So half of our business at GoodData is selling what I would call embedded analytics to other software companies and other companies who need to provide data to their customers. So think agencies as an example. And it's not their core business, but they know that there's value in the data that they generate on their platform. And so they can either build that themselves as part of their product roadmap, or they can come to a vendor like GoodData and use us almost as an OEM type offering. And we work in that way with huge companies. I'll talk about Zendesk. We also work with pre-product companies, so startup organizations who are building out a product, and they know they need reporting as part of it, and from the get-go they're embedding us into that roadmap. And so Zendesk, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of them, but they provide customer support help desk application in the cloud, so ticketing systems, and they use GoodData to power the analytics within their system, and they have a sort of freemium model. So there's a base set of reports that they deliver as part of their solution, and we're part of a premium upsell to their customers around advanced reporting. And again, the scale, when you do that for an individual customer, report on their help desk, not such a big deal. It's easy to get metrics and reports out of there. They have thousands of premium customers. So we're loading data into the platform from thousands of their customers on an hourly basis, and providing analytics back to their 2,000, 3,000 customers around how their individual operations are performing. And so, the scale of one company replicated, thousands of times makes it a big data problem.
Because you're then giving it back to them and breaking it into line items, and they can actually look at like how the results are in specific areas and pick out little things.
Exactly. So they're Zendesk customers are looking at these reports for their own business, trending their sort of ticket volumes, their resolution rates, their
and they could have one thing like resolution rates, and they could focus on that, and that you help that question.
Exactly.
You get humanized.
And then Zendesk actually use it to benchmark their customer base. So they have thousands of customers with this analytics going on, and they can provide benchmarks on best practices in help desk and support analytics back to their customers.
Okay. Ace Power Tools. So Ken's going to give an example of Ace Power Tools.
So like I said, here's an example. On the top it says customers also bought cross-sell, what would you buy with a saw? There's a little scroll bar you can scroll through and see up to, I think they showed 12 things. On the bottom of the website it's kind of similar items. If this isn't quite the right saw, what do you see? This is on every product page. It's in their checkout cart. They have 50,000 products. This is what's cool is shoppers who click on Foretell recommendations are influencing 13% of their revenue. They're 3.4 times more likely to buy something, and they view 4 times more products. They actually spend 4.5 times longer on the site, which helps SEO. These numbers are actually lower. We studied 34 clients over several months, 4 months last year, and these are just a little bit below what averages we see. So it's easy for people to stay with us when they start to see on average 15% increase in sales. What's also interesting here is they've participated. We're working with a team of professors and students at Wharton MBA. And we're looking at what people have been arguing over the algorithms, right, of recommendations. You hear it all. Well, how about the presentation? Should you show 2 or 3? Should you put a scroll bar? Shouldn't you? Which is better? Similar up top, cross-sell on the bottom. And so we've just started 2 weeks ago to this several-month study that's going to be published out of the teachers. And this is very initial, but on these guys, no matter where similar was, it got a way higher click rate. And my conclusion was, well, it's a saw. It's pretty expensive. I'm going to spend some time. We had another company selling $5 items. No matter where it was, cross-sell got clicked on and bought. I was kind of like, well, it's a $3 item. I'm not going to go spend time researching. If I like it, I'm going to click on it and add it to my cart. I don't know if that's true. We haven't finished. I mean, it's 1 week into a thing, but we're going to learn stuff like that. So we're not, we're going to become like you said, a trusted provider, and you have all this data, and you get to use it to help customers when they come in and start working on verticals and say, here are best practices. So this study is useful in 2 different cases. This was published in a integrated retailer solutions magazine recently. So
I like that. I want to ask you about. Was there any emailing involved in this? Your email product?
No, our email product just came out a couple weeks ago.
Okay, so I want to ask you about where you're going with your email product. I want to put up a slide though. We have a reference slide of a Eloqua profiler. You got to jump to this. I think it's like the last slide. So, and I want to ask the panelists too how this is sitting on top of here. So, just an example to catch everybody up. A lot of the marketers in the room are using some sort of marketing automation tool. This is an example of an Eloqua profiler that's sitting inside a Salesforce.com, a database. So, your sales reps on the ground can be looking at the Eloqua profiler, and they can look at a few different things. One, they can look at the web activity. Did this person, you see where the number 1 is on the top left corner there? This person came to my website one time, as an example. And if you click on that, you can actually see which page they came on. Look at the next one of form activity. Have they filled out any forms? No, I haven't gotten to fill out any forms. You look at the next one, email activity. How many emails I sent to them, how many they opened, and what's happened. And the last one is, how did they get to my site if they searched? They came by Google, and they searched for Eloqua Experience. You know, you take these marketing automation tools that a lot of companies are using now, and now it's not, hey, I'm Kevin from Crowd Compass, I want to talk to you about our product. It's, hey, I'm Kevin from Crowd Compass, I just got back from the Eloqua Experience, and you saw there on the trade show page, I want to talk to you about our new trade show product. And you have this incredible business intelligence from marketing automation coming in. On top of that then, you know, you're taking these leads after 3 or 4 calls and emails, they don't call back, you put them in a recycle drip campaign, and they're getting your emails every 3 weeks. You know, automatically, it looks like it comes right from me, and then again, I can go back and check on that. Are these working? Are these campaigns working? Pulling them in and giving you that information, right? Is Hal Newton in the audience here? Hal, I know you've done a lot of research on marketing automation tools. I'm just wondering if you could just talk for a second. Eloqua is a great high-end tool, but I'm wondering if you can list out from like low-end to top-end, maybe the top 5 marketing automation tools that people should know about.
Sure. I mean, the usual suspects are Eloqua, Marketo, there's HubSpot, there's Pardot, and then locally there's a company called Acton, and all of these companies have either raised tens of millions of dollars or have been acquired for multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. And then on the low end, some of the capabilities that Kevin's talking about, I mean, you can use consumer-based tools like Campaign Monitor and MailChimp to do autoresponders. You're not going to get lead scoring and some of the Salesforce integration, but as far as that drip campaign and generating data that you can mine, they're also appropriate.
So with MailChimp, you could do automatic email drip campaigns, but you're not going to be able to check and have this level of data.
No, but I would mention that even MailChimp has a project called Email Genome, which is very big data centric. So they have 2 million customers at this point. Everybody's generating campaigns, and now they are mining that as a resource to know what subject lines are working, what time of day is the best one to do, what, you know, and so all of those emails that you're sending through MailChimp, they're studying that as a collective so that they can improve their products and improve even the content that you send out. Okay.
So on a base level, if you're not already using a marketing automation tool, whether it's a sophisticated one like Eloqua or Marketo or an easier one, you should be on that. If you have a once-a-month email newsletter, that's a base level. If you're a sophisticated company, you should have dozens of campaigns getting rolled up and getting that intelligence. So now everyone in this room either is already using it or is going to be using it by next Monday, right? And Big Brother is here, so now they're no longer worried about that. And now you know, too, if you click on an email, people know, so be careful what you click on. So this layer's in place, right? So I'm curious, and let's start with you, Bob. This layer's in place. How do your tools go on top of that? How do your tools work with marketing automation tools or helping a client get information out of marketing automation tools?
Well, what we do is we exploit the information and we build the dashboard so that you can link into other tools like the marketing automation tools. So what you can do is you can put up a dashboard that has the analytics of what emails were sent out and what was brought back, what has been clicked on, and you can actually link back to another third-party tool like a marketing automation tool that can then generate either more marketing campaigns or define something else that is going to follow that pattern.
So you're doing more sophisticated analytics on top of the marketing automation?
Yes.
That's interesting. Okay. I was wondering how you guys sit on top of these platforms. Let's go down the line and then and Ken, be thinking about email because I want you to talk about where you're going to go with that.
So,
Mike, you go ahead and jump in.
So I'll talk as a user. We're a Marketo shop, and we also use Salesforce for our CRM, and we look at GoodData on top of that. And what we're doing is similar to what you said. Is we're pulling in data from the Marketo system, but to me that's just one piece of the puzzle in my marketing world. So yes, I'm running campaigns and nurture programs and drip campaigns. But I'm also doing paid advertising through Google and social channels. I'm doing organic optimization around SEO and trying to drive people to my website and fill in forms on the website. And so we're pulling data from multiple sources, of which marketing automation is one of them. And I'm using it to balance spend and budget spend. Do I get a better return out of certain email campaigns that I'm running versus social campaigns that I might be doing versus driving organic traffic to my website? And from there, I can drill down into details of individual campaigns, individual emails, open rates, that sort of thing, and start to optimize top down.
Okay. Interesting. Ken?
So I look at this and, well, you want me to start with email. So, one of the things...
I have a marketing automation tool, right? Why am I going to use your recommendation tool on top of a sophisticated marketing automation tool?
So let's start with who our customer is. It's someone selling products, and over 50. If you have 5 products, you don't need recommendations. So it's just like a abandoned cart. I looked at product A, and I didn't buy it. Why didn't I buy it? Well, maybe it wasn't quite the right product. Maybe I was saving it for later. Maybe I thought the price was too high. So the things you want, if it wasn't quite the right product, what are the other similar products? If you bought it somewhere else, what other products went with it? So you'd still be there. So you go in this tool, or this is what we do in email, and you email out, and it's like, hey, you looked at this product, come on back. Here are some other products you might like with it. Hey, if this wasn't the right product, here are some products you want in the email. People are going to look at the email for 2 seconds and decide. It's the same reason they use our tool. You search on Google, you land on a product page. They got 2 seconds to keep you there. If you just show one product, you're missing out on opportunity. If you show other things to go with it, you can go. So in the email, we can do that. We actually do it dynamically on open. As inventory changes, as user behaviors change, the recommendations will change. There's another side of this, though, that's really interesting. I saw this from ExactTarget about 1.5 years ago. And that is, there's another tab on this tool. And what you do is you say, I want to promote this product. And I think this product is going to be good for men between the age of 30 and 50 who bought $100 for my system. You create that segment and you send out an email. We today could say, take all of my customers and tell me who's going to buy that product. We'll create a list for you. You'll email it out. It's true personalized marketing. The whole idea of market segmentation is a thing of the past. You're going to do one-to-one. It's not going to look at one attribute. It's going to look at all the attributes of what that person's done. Today, we do that by what the behavior is. It has to be a customer. What we're rolling out right now is we're looking at customers' characteristics. And we're going to look across all these characteristics, and we'll be able to take prospects and tell you what they're going to buy. And it won't be just, they're a male in this age range. They'll have all these characteristics, and we'll weigh them together and say, here are the products this person will like, even if they've never bought at your store. So it's really adding into this. And, we're a startup. We're really focused, so we have this technology running. We haven't, we're doing emails today out of carts, but I just can't wait to see this happen. I can't wait for people to think, we used to segment the market when we can do one-to-one marketing. It's here.
Right. Yeah, I could see when you're putting it to one-to-one, the difference that would make.
I would say as well, just from a technology perspective, I'm sure you see this, but, these systems are designed to run processes and they generate data out the back of it. They're not designed to report on this data, and so what we find is, a lot of the times they're very tactical from a reporting perspective. I can see what's happening in a campaign at that point in time. Why people invest in the likes of us, and I'm sure yourselves, is that they need a more comprehensive view onto that data, be able to trend it over time periods, compare it against other cohorts, that sort of thing. And so that's I think the difference from a technology reporting perspective.
Yeah, and what I see as well is that people start a little smaller, and then they come to us when their business starts to outgrow what they've tried to put in place for their analytics. I worked with one company in the UK, and we were talking about Big Brother. What they actually do is their customers, they actually install a piece on the URL of their clients' websites that actually track the activity on that website. But what they do is they actually partner with mobile device carriers. So what they do is they collect all that data and they integrate that with who you are and what kind of device you had and where you actually are. So they actually track you, and so then they can do more direct marketing to the person because they know exactly who they are.
It's getting scarier.
Yeah.
Okay. So I really wanted to dive into this unstructured data a little bit and talk about some of the creative things we've seen. We do not have time for this question because I want to get a couple questions from the audience before we wrap up. So let me grab, I want to just grab a few questions from the audience here. I do have one more question for you all before we wrap up. But are there any big data questions from the audience? Cliff, I see you talking.
Okay, my name is Clint. I'm CEO of Stripe Marketing. And my question is, I think, to Ken over here mostly. How much opportunity is lost when a consumer, say, goes onto Amazon and is not logged in? Like, how much of a disconnect is that to the data you can collect from them from the website usage and just from their actions as it develops?
So people going to Amazon, if you want to kind of just repeat.
Yeah, so his question is, I'm going to generalize it, which is how much data is lost if you don't log into the website?
When you go to Amazon.
Well, I'm going to be general because I know about our customers.
No, I need the inside on Amazon, Ken. That's why I brought you here.
Well, since Amazon has a chip in the back of my head. And, so, when we built the solution, Amazon's lucky. Most people are logged in and they cookie them, and most people keep their cookies there. So we built this on the idea that it has to work for anonymous users. And so if you're not logged in, we don't know anything about you, you're going to get generic recommendations. They'll be the same as our person. The first product you click on, you just taught me something. You just clicked on a product, I know what you just viewed. We're going to start personalizing them for you. If you're not logged in, I don't know what your previous clicks, I don't know what you previously bought on. But today, the second product you viewed, it's starting to look at you and understand what you want. I was amazed. I looked at a search engine, and I typed something, clicked on like a baby girl's item, went back, searched the same result, and I got the same results again. We're not going to do that. And the more you view, and then if you log in, of course, we know more. And as I talked about, we're rolling out today, it's looking at characteristics. And so the minute you come there, we know some things about you, mainly your geographic location, assuming you're not coming through AOL. And that can start helping us know at the very first time a little bit of information. Is that?
Awesome. We're going to rip through some questions, and then we all go down to the bar and drink until 2 in the morning so we can ask more after as well. Question up front for the VIP, Martha.
Yeah, I'm Martha, Interaction Metrics, and we do customer satisfaction and customer service testing. My question for you is, I'm very much exposed in my industry to bad data, right? So in the old 70s axiom, garbage in, garbage out. So an example of bad data would be satisfaction surveys that were designed really improperly. So the data, so it might look like your customers are really satisfied, but they're not. Your question was what? They were highly biased. So my question is, supposing there's bad data, there's garbage data going into your bad data, how do you clean it out and tell me more about that process?
So just to sum this up for people who are on live stream who couldn't hear, what do you do when you are expected to analyze data that you know is bad? Maybe questions are flawed. Who wants to take that?
I'll take that. So we actually have an answer for data quality, and we work with customers, and we have a product and also a methodology for scrubbing that bad data. And a big part of it comes to data governance. So a good example, and I was talking to the...
Are you testing that data to see that it's quality data? Scrubbing, yeah, but actually
testing and doing things like, especially if the data is numeric, you can do things like control totals and reasonableness checks. And you're never going to get to 100%, especially some of the larger, it's not going to be 100%. And especially because of the cost of actually cleaning all that data. So you actually have to make some decisions about what data you cleanse and which data you don't. Some of your data is going to be more important to you than others. And then there's other things too, like, and I was talking to someone about the ISO standard, for example, on gender. And he thought, oh, that's going to be easier. It's going to be male, female, or 1, 2. But no, ISO standard is actually 9 values for gender in the ISO standard. So there are certain pieces that you have to decide on when you start to clean the data and make those decisions. And a big part of it is data governance, and sometimes it's a human decision. So you actually have to have someone that actually goes through and looks at the data and decide what to do with it. One of the issues that we also see when working with our customers, a lot of customers that get faced with the bad data are the ones that consume it and are trying to analyze it. They don't own that data. Someone else owns the data, and it may not be an impact to them on whether that data is of bad quality or not, because they don't care about that piece of data. So a lot of times it's now been centralized, and the problem becomes even bigger. So that's just another example of a big data problem, is the data quality in something that's in an integrated data store, someone like a data warehouse manager, something like that.
That's interesting, the reasonable checks. I don't know if, Ken, if you look at reasonable checks, if someone's product is so horrible you don't want to hook your software to it? Okay, one more question. Anyone have another question?
I was going to say I can approach a little. I mean,
Yeah?
your data survey, the bad data is you're asking, using the data to answer a bad question. We're lucky, right? We have sales data and view data. If their sales don't go up, we look at it. But there are another type of bad data, which is you're sending me stuff that's unrecognizable. I mean, about 20% of the data coming to us has product IDs that don't exist anymore. Or, it's just the system broke down. You got to make sure your system keeps working. I mean, it's not, what the data means is bad. Another one is returns. And go look at the recommendations on Zappos. Okay, I'm a runner. And when you look at a running shoe and they recommend 3 other shoes say people also bought, they're forgetting to take the returns back. Because any runner out there knows you find a shoe and you buy the same shoe until it goes on a market, or your new running partner tells you there's a better shoe in the market. You don't buy 2 running shoes. And so we have a system where people can input returns so we don't use that to come up with the wrong recommendation.
I like that. So predictions. Let's wrap this up with predictions. Here is what I'd like to ask each of the panelists, and we'll just rip through and throw your prediction out here. So when we look back on 2013, we look back on this year, so I'm not talking about in 5 years from now, blah, blah, blah. So it's 2014, and when we look back on 2013, what will have been the most significant or innovative big data implementations that you've seen or trends on the planet Earth? We're recording this. Don't screw it up. Live.
We really don't know what we're doing yet. I mean, I look at this and, it's hear us and I talk about this little piece of data and we're doing a good job, but there's people out there analyzing Facebook. What do people tweet about? What would they like to buy? There's people out there saying, I'm like this person, I should buy that. I look forward to the day 5 years from now where recommendations doesn't just use this little segment of data. It takes so much of the data around there to make the best recommendations for you, from your preferences to your previous purchases to your behaviors on Facebook and all that. And again, I'm not trying to follow you around, or it's going to be, your privacy will be respected, but it'll help you buy what you want. And that's years out from now to figure out how all these algorithms, there's all these little companies and they're like, oh, this is the best way. I think we start at the best place, but we definitely have to combine all these resources. And one thing, I competed in the Netflix project where they released 100 million movie ratings. You had to figure out where you're going. And it was very interesting because I expected a brand new algorithm to come out. Well, what really won was the combination of 1,000 different algorithms. It wasn't economically viable, but just that idea, there's not one algorithm. It's how do you combine all these different data analysis to come up with an answer. And I think that's what we'll find. I'm sorry, I'm not answering your question. It's
you're running for office with that question.
Yeah,
but you are just saying we are just scratching the surface, and it's just going to be about little segments.
Yes.
Okay. I will take that. I will take that as a question. And thank you, Ken. Okay, Mike. Now you're not running for office.
Let me try and avoid
all right.
questions.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say if you don't actually predict here.
Yeah, I actually think it will be this realization that it's not just a technology problem, and that everyone has a lot of data, and there's big data out there, and it's really this realization that you need to use it to drive real business questions and business problems, at least in the enterprise world that we live in. So I think people will realize that they can't ignore it, and that whether they like it or not, customers are talking about them, and there's a sentiment about their business. And I think we'll see people start to take steps towards actually getting meaningful value out of that data, rather than spending their time building Hadoop clusters or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. So it's not about technology, and it's a realization.
Yep.
Okay. You slightly predicted, Bob.
Yes.
We need a prediction here.
Okay. So I used to work at one time for the redundant department. So I'm going to predict that predictive analytics is going to be a hot topic for 2013.
Wait. Say that again. My brain couldn't wrap.
Yes, I'm going to predict that predictive analytics, and it's a conversation that I'm having more and more with my customers, is they want to use predictive analytics to help drive down their costs, their overall costs. A good example, and we always like to give examples, a number of years ago, the city of Richmond, and no one really thinks of the city of Richmond as being a high crime area, one of the highest crime per capita areas in the United States. And they had received a new chief that was targeted with reducing the crime, but at no cost. He wasn't allowed to drive up any cost and put more officers on the streets. So what he did is that he went to, and he worked with us to build an application, a predictive analytic application, to help predict where the crimes would be in the city, and then they could redirect the resources that they had to where those areas would be. And using data, and there was a lot of crime data, of course, he had to chunk through to come up with those predictions. And within a year, they were able to drive themselves out of the top 100 in terms of crimes per capita, just using a predictive analytic application.
No more crime in 2014. You heard it from Bob. Round of applause. I like that. I would like to thank the panelists. Big data is a super, super interesting topic. We are just scratching the surface here. People are just figuring out how to do it. So round of applause for the panelists. A couple real quick announcements. One more round of applause for Paul Collette there, who does some great filming every week. Thank you, Paul. Remember who you're sitting next to. We're tracking this. You're going into a database. It's big data, people. Now, if you put your email up on the list, we're going to be sending out a recording of this panel, so feel free to share it. And if you click on the email, we track it in Eloquus. We'll watch that. And one last thing is we all have beers downstairs. So if once you go downstairs and drink a few beers, then you're allowed to leave, network with everyone. And the very last thing is every month we try to be as innovative as possible of how to stack the chairs right along the outside of this wall. So thank you all very much. Again, panelists, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it. Thank you.